Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, chapter 146. When we last left our heroes, we focused largely on the fight between Homura and Milani, as Homura initially struggled to kind of do lasting damage amidst all the various tricks Milani cooked up in the mirror world, but eventually, through a mix of not caring about the minor pain some of Milani's attacks were doing, and activating her overdrive form, Homura was able to deal the definitive blow against Milani, winning the fight and taking out first/second, if you count Cyca, members of the Ocean Six. Meanwhile, Jean had previously left to check up on the explosion that seemed to have taken out Shiki, and he noticed something weird in the distance, so we didn't quite see what that was. So let's jump right on into chapter 146 before we part. But we have another character file for Laguna, name Laguna Husert, power Tears Lover. Normally, here's a quick little question. Normally, when it says powers, it'll also mention that that's an Ether Gear power. But that does not say Ether Gear. It might just be an error. It's most likely an error somehow, because it's definitely an Ether Gear. But anyway, he likes fashion, dislikes dryness. Excuse me. Attack 4 stars, defense 3 stars, marksmanship 3 stars, ether power 4 stars, intelligence 4 stars, stiletto heals 5 stars. Memo, he uses a really scary ether gear, there you go, that can turn anyone who sheds a tear into water. He was originally an actor, and after his fight with Master, he changed his face and went to perform in a theater in Blue Garden. We recently learned that he was a member of Oasis, a rebel army fighting against Poseidon Nero. So yeah, that's Laguna. But we open with Jean, who's just gone to check up on, really right where we left off, with him seeing something in the distance. But this might be a bit before that, because the chapter ended with him seeing something, whereas something that shocked him. Whereas here he's just kind of commenting on the destruction. Mountain of robot remains, and ground zero is that spot in front of it. And then we see something kind of starts to clatter in the rubble. And all of the parts kind of start to move. And there's Shiki, who's just sort of unconscious, I think. So I guess that's all that Jean saw last time. Which is kind of a deflation after that sort of cliffhanger there. But Jean goes over to him, Shiki! And Shiki's groaning. And Jean looks at him, you really are something. How does anyone survive an explosion like that? But Shiki is still just kind of groaning. And Jean looks at him confused. And he's actually conscious and just sobbing over all of the needlessly dead robots. As Jean asks him, whoa, hey, what's wrong? We're seeing again, Jean has become a much more considerate person after joining the Eden Zero crew. But anyway, time to pick up where we left off with Homura, who is still in her ether gear form in the exact pose we left her off last chapter. And Milani's actually not down for the count yet. She's basically done, but she's still kicking. The mirrors! You broke all my mirrors! And Homura just ignores her. You said that androids do not have lives. But they do, because they have hearts. And Milani's actually still kicking. She's, has a new attack we haven't even seen before. Shut up! And she does, a shadow clone jutsu. Mirage trigger! And, 5 Milanis all run at Homura. She just slices through them all. Pretty, definitive damage, I think. As Milani in shock. You took out all my clones? Just like that! Warrior Maid, single sword attack. Kitsune perfect circle strike! So we see yet another new move from Homura's Ether Gear. I commented last week that the Odin strike attack very much seemed like a reference to Valkyrie. How Odin is sort of in the same name sense as Valkyrie. How they both have that Norse mythological origin. The Kitsune perfect circle strike though feels much more in line with Homura, both because she's got the fox ears and the foxtail. But also just because they're both, Japanese terms. And Kitsune is a Japanese term for fox. And Homura has always been very sort of Japan-inspired. Anyway, that seems to be the real and final definitive blow against Milani. And Homura powers down. Her hair turns back to black. Milani hits the ground. And she sort of, grits. Milani sort of grits her face up in pain, I think. And then it starts to look more like a sob as she says, "The truth is, I always knew. Androids do have lives. I know that. And I know that what Prince Shura is trying to do is wrong." Okay, this is a little sudden. I'll say that much. It's not quite on the level of, Irene actually caring about Urza the whole time back in Fairy Tail. But, this is a little out of left field. It doesn't have, all of the build-up of Irene's burning hatred for Urza that sort of made her sudden turn really, really weird in Fairy Tail. But this is just a little out of left field. And I wish we had seen some kind of this could have easily been done of her just having some kind of, even minor opposition could have made this work more. So it's weird. It just doesn't quite work that Milani actually knew she was in the wrong the whole time. But Homura looks at her. You, and Milani flashes back to Cyca, and Shura's murder of him. And we see that Milani was actually kind of hiding tears the whole time. Which I wish we could have seen, because there are two panels there. One has her kind of looking stoic, and then we see her, actually tearing up. And we see she knew Cyca as a child. Guess what? When I grow up, I want to be in oceans. Do you know? I have no doubt you will be. Again, this would have been really nice to know, earlier, I think. We see Cyca hits the ground. But I was so scared. I couldn't. Grandpa died, but I couldn't do anything to... Homura looks at her kind of pityingly. I don't know. I feel like she could have had some kind... Maybe she did, and I just forgot. But I don't think she did. I remember Fabiano and Cyca were kind of opposed, but Milani kind of kept her mouth shut. Even just "Are you serious, Master Shura?" When a sense that she was not comfortable with what Shura was doing would have made this land a lot better. And even having that could still let she couldn't say anything because Cyca died and she was terrified. I don't know. Anyway, Milani continues, "Why am I telling you this?" And she rubs her eyes. "Because we are within the mirror." This is Homura. "Mirrors reflect one's truth." And that's kind of her ending note. As we come back to Jean and Shiki. Shiki is still on the ground sobbing, and Jean questions him, "What happened, Shiki?" And we flash back to Shiki being, dogpiled by the bots. "Ugh, give me a break, you guys!" They just keep piling on him. We see the same thing with the bots, with the countdown clock. Long live Master Shura. But then we see, continuing our trend of bad guys who aren't actually bad guys, or who are a little bit apologetic for their bad guyness. One of the bots says to Shiki, "We're sorry. The poor guy, he's been programmed to self-destruct. We can't stop him. But the thing is, we really don't want to kill humans." That stuns Shiki, that they're that conscious. "And you seem like a nice guy. You care about robots. You're not like Master Shura. So at least in our final moments..." Oh, the dogpiling is not... They didn't all explode. It was them protecting Shiki. See, this turn, I think, does work a little bit better, because it takes moments that we saw and instantly recontextualizes them in a way that you can't really deny. Anyway, so at least in our final moments, we can protect you. And the bots all cover Shiki as the other one explodes. Wait, guys, don't be sad. We were doomed to die tomorrow anyway. And Shiki tries to break free. No! Long live Master Shura. Activating self-destruct protocol. And the bot's last words, even the exploding one, "But really, I don't want to die." And then we see the explosion as we come back to the present. Yeah, like I was getting at, that flashback works a lot better. Just because we can it's we can see the evidence in a new way. Like it's doesn't really change what we saw. It just sort of recontextualizes it. Um, so yeah, that's honestly a really good flashback. I'm here for it. Um, but anyway, we're back to the present. As Shiki just threw his tears, they were protecting me. And Jean looks around at the destroyed robots. And Shiki wipes his eyes and stands up, ready to continue the fight. We have to get back to the Eden Zero. Hermit said they need me. And speaking of, they're now back on the Eden Zero, as Shiki and Jean run down the hallway. Hermit, guys, everyone okay? And Jean tells them they're on the bridge. And the door opens, the two of them arrive, and we see Hermit and Sister just destroyed. Sister's leg is just torn off, as is Hermit's arm. And they're, unconscious. They're not dead, obviously. And even if they were, they could just kind of be brought back online. Either way, Shiki calls Hermit, Sister! And the two of them both groan. They're still conscious, but not in a good state. Shiki, and Hermit gets up, through her tears calls for Shiki, and Shiki runs over to her. Hang in there. I'll get you to the infirmary. And Jean looks around. What happened? And Sister answers, Shura was here. And Shiki, jolts. And we see Hermit's face. One of her eyes is just shattered and dead. It's not working. Her right eye, actually. He took Witch. And Shiki just goes into a rage there. And we cut to Shura. Come on, Shiki. And he's got Witch chained up. Come and play. We're friends, aren't we? And that is where the chapter ends. Okay. So, a lot going on here. Not the, epic battle of last week. But let's look at Homer Milani thing first. The end there, I guess it's fine that Milani puts up a little bit more of a fight. I would have been fine if the fight ended last week. I don't think there was really any more that needed to be done, especially given that there was no real struggle on Homer's part in this part of the fight. She just kind of finished the job. But either way, it still works. It still works for the most part. The fight. Less effective is the flashback, which I guess works. I might have to go back and reread the chapters around Cyca's death to see if there is really anything we can kind of glean from that would even hit, that even if it's just you would never guess it on a first read, but with new information you can kind of see the evidence sort of thing. I don't know. It just feels a little out of left field. But I mean, it mostly works. It's again not the sort of strained credibility of Irene's actually I loved Urza the whole time bit. So it mostly gets the job done. Again, much better is the bot flashback. As I kind of assumed they were less sentient than bots like Cyca, like the Starshines, Xenolith, a lot of the other bots we've seen, Happy and Kino. But we see that they are, in fact. They're more programmed to announce their undying support of Shura. But we see that's not even, the self-destruct bot has his long live Master Shura, and then, but really I don't want to die. As his heart kind of shines through there. His programming, his heart kind of breaks through the programming there in his final moments as he explodes. I just really like the bot flashback. It's just really good. The bots don't want to be doing what they're doing. They want to live in peace. But Shura has kind of forced them into attacking Shiki. And force the other bots to self-destruct, and so the bots kind of give their lives for him. It's just good shit. It's just because these bots are sort of all identical, I think it's sort of easy to sort of view them as the battle droids in Star Wars. How maybe they might have a little bit of personality here and there, especially in the Clone Wars, but you're not really expected to treat them as individuals. And I think the bot flashback does a really good job of treating them like individuals. Um, and each of their deaths means something. And it's one of those things that Shiki can't quite forgive. Will never forgive. Not can't quite, just can't forgive. Um, and so he and Jean go back to the Eden Zero. And Shura basically fucked up both Hermit and Sister. Um, Tore off a limb on both of them. Got rid of one of Hermit's eyes. They're gonna be in a bad space because they're bots. They'll probably live. They're not gonna like bleed out. But yeah, they're fucked up. Um, Also, I might be misremembering this, but didn't Mueller also kind of blind one of Hermit's eyes? So I feel like there might be some like some PTSD stuff that Hermit's going through. If there is a similarity between her torture by Mueller's hand and what we see here. But yeah, that kind of moves us into the next phase of the arc, as Shura now has Witch inside the city, which is interesting because Shiki. I mean, is he gonna have to sneak under the tunnels like what Team Wise was doing, or is it gonna be like he's just gonna ram on through at this point? The previous sort of, we don't want to involve the civilians. Given everything Shura has done, sometimes you have to do bad things. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how Shiki's gonna get in. I know Shiki is going to fight Shura. But if the only route is the same place where like all the oceans have been waiting for Team Wise, we'll see how all that plays out in the end. But anyway, a lot of fun this chapter. The Homura stuff doesn't work quite as well as the rest of it. Again, Milani's sort of sudden face turn doesn't quite work for me. But the bot scene is just so good. And now we have a promise of more Shiki Shura combat, but also, I mean, maybe this is not something that this particular scene is proved in any way yet. But given Mashima's recent kind of BDSM torture tendencies throughout this series, especially with Shura as a character, how he's kind of how Shura was introduced in particular, I'm a little nervous where Mashima has taken us with this, guys. But we'll just have to wait and see. All in all, this was a really fun chapter, and I am looking forward to see where this all goes from here. So I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!